What is up, you guys? It's your boy Peace. How you guys doing? As a college student, using this iPad in my day-to-day basis intrinsically improved my learning habit and creative flexibility. I've been using the iPad Pro 2021 11-inch model for this past few weeks, and I have to say I do really enjoy the performance of this device. So in this video, I'm going to do what's on my iPad as a college student, so you guys can have a glance of what kind of applications I use it for this brand new iPad Pro 2021. So let's stop talking and let's get right into it. As you guys can see, I did not upgrade it to iPad OS 15 because for me, iPad OS 15 didn't really change compared to the last iPad OS 14, so I didn't really feel like to upgrade it. And the iPad OS 15 is gonna have a bunch of bugs since it's still a developer beta, but I'm not gonna take a risk to have a problem with my iPad, so I didn't upgrade it to iPad OS 15, just letting you know. Alright, so this is the first page of my iPad. As you guys can see, I put all the apps that I use daily in the first page so I can have a quick access and trying to be productive much as possible. On my second row, I have App Store, Settings, Shortcuts, Files, EITANGO, and Google Spreadsheets. If you guys are curious about the EITANGO app, EITANGO means English vocabs, and this is an English vocab app so I can study my English vocab, because as a second language speaker I still struggle a lot with English vocabulary and I am so ambiguous when it comes to vocab selections. So I need to study, okay? Don't judge me, all right? I'm trying my best. Did you guys know that 91.5% of you guys are not subscribed to my channel, and that makes me super freaking sad. So if you guys liking this content right now, can you please hit the like button and please hit the subscribe button so YouTube Senpai will bless me with the algorithm and I'll be super freaking happy. In the third row, as you guys can see, I have a bunch of app groups because all these apps are kind of same and I didn't want to get confused if the apps is like all over the place, so I always put them in groups. In the first group, I do have a bunch of music apps, and although I don't listen to a lot of music from my iPad, I just have it just in case when I need some lo-fi hip-hop or beats without any lyrics when I want to focus on studying or reading something, because I do think I can read pretty well having like beats in my ear, so I can like shut down all the surround sounds of the trains or people or cafe or library and stuff. So I do listen to music sometimes on my iPad. Next group is all about being creative. So I have Affinity Photo, VSCO, Lightroom, Retouch, iMovie, and Procreate. Affinity Photo is a great Photoshop alternative, and for only around 12 to 13 bucks, I do think it's way more worth it than Photoshop, because all the basic stuff that you can do on Photoshop, you can do on Affinity Photo, and I think this app is really worth it for the price. And if you have an iPad, I think you should just install it because it's so nice to have it. VSCO is like a Lightroom alternative, but VSCO does have a bunch of presets. So when I'm feeling kind of, you know, lazy when I'm doing my personal work, when I'm doing freelance work, I never use VSCO. I always use Lightroom on my PC. But when I'm just doing like my personal stuff, like uploading photos on Instagram or just having the photo as a memory, and I just wanted to tweak the color a little bit or trying to make it more filter-y type of look, I always use VSCO, and I do love this app a lot. Lightroom CC is one of the best photo editing app for iPad in my opinion. Since iPad does have a really good display, editing photos on Lightroom CC is such a pleasure. And if you only have an iPad for photo editing tool, I do think you can pull off a couple of freelance work, or you can do some serious color grading on this app. Retouch is photo retouching app, so if you have like scars or something in your photo that you just want to erase it, you can use this app, and this app is around $8 I think, and I do think this is a very good way to just do stuff on Photoshop but way quicker. So Retouch, highly recommend it. Procreate is such an awesome illustration app, and a lot of people talk about Affinity Design and other type of illustration app on iPad, but for me, with the price and all, I do think Procreate is the best and easiest way to enjoy designing. The overall task of designing experience is much more easy and much more simple on Procreate compared to Illustrator or other type of apps. So I used to draw stuff on Illustrator, but I quit it and and I using Procreate now because it's much more easy, much more fun, and just much more intrinsic compared to complex designing apps. In my third app group, I have notes and documents, and for this groups of apps, I use these apps when I have to do some schoolwork, such as like very formal writing, not very creative, not very note-taking type of task. When I have to write an essay, research paper, like those type of stuff, I use these apps, and I don't really want to talk about these apps because it's super boring, so I'm just gonna skip it. The fourth group is Google stuff. I have Gmail, Google Drive, Google Photo, Google Translate, and Chrome. I use Chrome a lot more than Safari, and my primary mailing app is Gmail. I don't use Outlook or any type of mailing app. My fifth group is about video meetings, so video conference stuff. So I have Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is kind of required in my college, so I use Teams. I have Zoom for Zoom call, and I have Skype. No one really uses Skype at all, and I don't really use Skype at all as well, but I still have Skype just in case, because if some client from my freelance work want to use Skype, I can still use it. But in these days, like for like this past year, I never even opened this app, so I don't know why I even have it in my iPad. In the bottom row of my apps, I have Pomodoro Timer, Anki, and Message. For me, Pomodoro technique is one of the best time management technique to keep yourself productive and do more in your day. And empirically speaking, I do think Be Focus Pro is the best Pomodoro technique app in the whole app store, because this app, once you purchase it, you can use on your iPad, you can use on your iPhone, and you can use on your Apple Watch as well. And this is a one-time payment, and it's only around $2. So I do think this is super worth it. And the timer itself is very customizable. And although this timer doesn't have cute animations or kind of cool sounds for ambient sounds and stuff, it doesn't have like these focus mode ambient sound or anything, but it works really well, and I do really love this app. Force is the next Pomodoro technique app, and I know I'm a huge advocate of Pomodoro technique app, but Force is awesome. It's not useful as Be Focus Pro, but Force does have this cute animation of tree growing while the timer is going. And the cool thing about Force is that they have a focus mode. If you turn on the focus mode, you cannot get out the Force app, and it does force you to do your work. And if you get out the app, the timer will stop and tree will wither, and that's very sad. Next app is a flashcard app named Anki, and I know Anki is very expensive, it's around $28 or so, but this app is very useful. I mainly use this app for my English vocabulary, but this flashcard app is totally based on spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is a study technique that once you learn something, you will eventually forget, but if you open a space between them and review it once again, you will intrinsically remember again. But the cool thing about Anki is that you can choose certain vocabs that you remember or you don't remember, or like acronyms and stuff. And Anki app itself will change up the time period of the flashcards showing up within your app, because if you remember something easily, like you don't really have to do the repetition, but if you have certain vocabs that's kind of hard to remember, or it's kind of giving you this like obstacle to remember once again, the app itself will give you, you know, different time period to review it once again. So you will have this like random space between each flashcards, and this is super useful. It's kind of hard for me to explain it because I don't know, I'm just not really good at explaining stuff, but I do highly recommend this app, and this app is one-time purchase and you can sync with all of your devices. Okay, so the bottom apps is the main apps that I use constantly every single day, like no question asked. I've been reading a lot of books lately, and it's kind of weird for me to say that I am quite enjoying reading books, and I never thought that I'm gonna enjoy reading books, but I like Kindle because Kindle is super easy to highlight stuff, and I do search a lot of vocabularies, and Kindle is really easy to just quickly search a vocab and know the meaning of certain words. So it's really easy for me as a second language speaker, and I do highly recommend reading stuff on Kindle. Notion is still my primary note-taking app. I use Notion for literally anything: budgeting, note-taking, scripting, or anything else that you can think of, I use Notion. I even track out my workout and stuff, which is pretty cool, but I still love Notion, and Notion is completely free, and I'm not gonna talk about Notion anymore because there's so many videos about Notion, but I'm just saying Notion is the GOAT. Since I deleted Amazon Prime Video and Netflix from all my devices because I don't really want to pay for subscription, and I don't really like binge watching long form content, so I don't watch them anymore, and I only really watch Skillshare and YouTube. I know it's like a cliche thing as a YouTuber to have a Skillshare sponsorship, but don't worry, I am not sponsored by Skillshare. But if you guys want to sponsor me, Skillshare, I'm always available. But I do think Skillshare is still one of the best platforms to learn new things because it's super cheap and they do have a bunch of professional courses as well. So if you guys want to learn new stuff, I do think Skillshare is really worth it and I do highly recommend it. GoodNotes 5 is my favorite handwriting note-taking app in general because I use GoodNotes 5 every single day for studying, visualizing, writing script. I do everything on GoodNotes 5 and there's a bunch of note-taking apps and most of the functions are basically the same. I'm just using GoodNotes 5 because it's the cheapest and I do really like the UI and UX design. So GoodNotes 5, highly recommend it. Such an awesome app. MapNotes 2 is a whiteboard app and I do love using this app for my video creation or my freelance work because I use a bunch of like example scenery from different type of movie clips or I use a bunch of photos for example and it's kind of easier for me to lay it down all over the place and whiteboard and just go ham on visualization and I do love whiteboard for that and MapNotes 2 is the best way on the iPad to use as a whiteboard. So I do like this app and I do highly recommend this app too. Google Calendar is my primary calendar app since the beginning. I do love Google Calendar a lot. Every time management and task list that I make on Google Calendar first no matter what happened because it does sync with all my devices with one account and it does sync up with a bunch of applications such as all my productivity apps and Apple Calendar and stuff. So I do highly recommend Google Calendar and it's totally free and I praise this app. It's such a good app. When I'm using iPad, I'm trying to be creative and productive much as possible. That's the reason why I put YouTube and Grand Theft Auto and stuff all the way back in my homepage of my iPad because when I'm, scrolling to the YouTube app, my mind will be like, peace, you procrastinating, bro. You trying to procrastinate. Get back to your work. So I can go back to my work and be productive much as possible. That sounds very sad. Like I feel like a robot, but it is what it is. I am a big procrastinator. YouTube Studio is the best app or only app that you can see all of your analytics or you can see how your videos are performing every single day. And this can be very addicting if you're a YouTuber because you can see all of your stuff and it can motivate you some days if your videos are performing well and it can like just demolish you when the videos are not performing well. So this is like my devil's advocate because I can delete this, but at the same time I need my analytical data so I cannot delete this. GTA is my favorite gaming app of all time and I know I have to stop playing video game because I have a Nintendo Switch. So if I want to make my iPad a full creative productive machine, I should not install GTA, but I do love San Andreas so much that I cannot delete it and my hand is not gonna delete this app because I love this app so freaking much. Anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and if you guys are curious about my other iPad videos, I'll leave it too right here, and if you guys are curious about my non-iPad video, I'll leave it right here, and my channel's gonna be right here, and I hope you guys subscribe to it. Anyway guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you guys have a great day. My name's Peace Gates and you guys already know. Peace out guys.